Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of a drama from Finland. This is spoken in the Swedish language, English subs, released in the year 2013, directed by Ulrika Banks, and this movie is called The Disciple. So The Disciple is about this guy who runs a lighthouse in a very secluded island in Finland. You've got his wife, his young daughter and young son. Now his young son, he wants him to be somebody that the young son is not capable of doing. So this ultimately makes the father frustrated, and he's belittling his son at every given opportunity. So the family is not a very happy one, and you get the sense that this guy is ruling by an iron fist. So one day he advertises for a lighthouse caretaker, and what they send him is a 13-year-old boy. Now this boy seems to be educated, but he's too young, and the father says, look, go back on the first boat that comes and I want to get someone older. So eventually he allows this boy to stay, and he starts to gain a liking to this boy. He starts to believe that this guy is very smart and he's capable of being a man. He's capable of being someone that his son isn't. So he starts to like this boy even more than his own family, and this starts to cause a lot of problems within the family dynamics, and there's a few hidden secrets that come out as well. So what those secrets are and what happens is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Disciple. Be very careful going into this film. On IMDb it bills itself as a thriller, but it's definitely not a thriller. It's a very, very slow moving drama, and it's a very psychological character study. So if you're not prepared to watch that sort of thing, then Disciple is definitely not for you. But if you're prepared to watch a movie that does unravel very well, it does tackle on very relevant problems in today's society, then The Disciple is definitely a movie that I would say definitely go out there and see. I really enjoyed this movie, and I really didn't know what to expect. Now this movie was sent to me by a good friend Magnus, Scandinavian Cinema Reviews. Fantastic guy, very knowledgeable, and he said I might enjoy this movie. So I did really enjoy it, and I thank him for sending it, because, as I said, the real relevant topics that it touches on is a father's belief that he has failed as a person, and the frustrations that that can cause, and trying to live your life through your own children. And this happens in everyday society, and I'm a coach back in Australia, and I sense that some of the kids don't want to play the sport that they're playing, but because their parents want them to, they're forced to do it. So there's not a lot of happiness with this child, and a lot of these children, they don't really live onto their dreams and what they want to do. It's like the family of doctors. You've got a tradition of doctors, and you've got the father and the parents who want their children to be doctors, want their children to be what they believe they should be, and that some children are they grow up to work in jobs that they don't want to be in because they're living up to the expectations rather than making a life of their own. And this movie depicts that so well. And I thought the slow burning that the movie had really suited it. I thought this young child, this young boy especially, was so sympathetic because he loved his father, but the father deemed him as a failure in life because he didn't live up to his expectations. He wanted him to be a certain person, but because he didn't have the capability of that, he was a failure. And in reality, he's not a failure. It's just wasn't his type of thing that he's going to do in his life. And so you sense that this guy would grow up to be someone that he wasn't truly happy with, but because he wanted his father to be happy, he was willing to sacrifice what he has as a life. And it's like the puppet. I felt that this family in the film were puppets of this tyrannical father, the father who was very brutal in his punishments, and that he wouldn't take no for an answer, and you felt that there was a lot of domestic violence going on, but it was all very subtle, it was all implied. And I just thought it was a fantastic film because it does touch on that relevant subject. I thought the cinematography was excellent. It captured the very isolated feeling that this family had. It is made clear that the children in this family didn't know what it was like on the mainland, so it almost felt like this little area was their universe, and that's all they knew. And that the father was controlling every element of their life. And so it's a control freak who was willing to destroy his own family in order to basically live out what he felt was a failure in his own life. So it's a character study of this guy who's deemed as a villain, but as the movie goes along, his character starts to unravel, and you see a lot of vulnerabilities within this guy. So you start to feel sorry for this man, and you have the overwhelming sense of sadness in the movie. It's a very sad film, but as I said, it doesn't force feed that feeling. It's a very subtle film. And I think that not enough movies like this are made. I think that in today's movie viewing world, a lot of audiences are lazy. They don't want to think for themselves. They just want everything spoon-fed to them. But this movie won't do that. It won't cue sadness by a sad soundtrack. It is all left up for you to decide when you should feel sad, or if you want to feel sad, and who you want to deem as the villain, who you want to deem as the victim, or whether or not there are no villains. In fact, there could be just all victims. It's up to you to decide that. And a lot of European films do this, and The Disciple did it very, very well. The acting was absolutely fantastic. The guy who played the father was excellent, very brutal man, very scary man, very intimidating, but once again, it's not because he was he's a big, strong guy with muscles. He didn't look intimidating, but his ideas upon this family were very intimidating, and you got the sense that he was doing a really, really bad thing. And so the overwhelming sense that these children weren't going to live their dreams also contributed to the hopeless feeling that the movie had. The young daughter especially, she was treated badly because she wasn't a male, and that she couldn't live up to the father's expectations once again. The wife was banned from doing certain things that she loved. So it was all to do with this guy's happiness. He was controlling his family. They were the puppets, and it almost felt like he deemed these people as objects rather than human beings. And so it's just a really, really tragic film, and it's a movie that does touch on very relevant subjects, as I said. So the criticisms of the movie, as I said, it is very, very slow. I didn't mind that, but I know a lot of you out there will mind that. It's not an action film. It's a beautiful film, as I said, it's beautifully made, but it is very slow, and it's more about character study rather than a straight-out thriller. So IMDb will deem this as a thriller, but that's very misleading. I actually think it's a very relevant drama, and it's just another example of fine filmmaking from this area of the world. So the acting from the young boy was very good. I thought the movie gets a lot more interesting once this strange boy comes to the island, and because this strange boy is, or not strange boy, but stranger, is living up to the father's expectations, he's willing to push away his family and adopt this kid as his own son, because he believes that he can manufacture this kid to be the person that he always wanted to be. And so there's a lot of mistrust within this family and this stranger, and I just thought the plot thickens, and there's an overwhelming sense that something really bad is going to happen. Although nothing as bad is actually taking place, you get the sense that it's not going to end very well, because this kid is starting, it feels like he's infiltrating the family and he's starting to rip the family apart. But he doesn't necessarily want to do that, he just wants to impress his boss. But now the boss is starting to think, yeah, I can manipulate this guy and basically I can live out my dream. But it all doesn't, it doesn't work out like that in reality, and when that doesn't work out, we start to overflow with emotion, and that's exactly what this father will do. So the central point of the film is the father. Everything else works in it very well. It felt like a film that had a strong plan, and I thought it executed all those plans very, very well. So overall, for The Disciple, I'm going to give it 4 stars, coming highly recommended, but be very careful, it's definitely for a very acquired taste. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.